Important ratios, you might have more than the one that I might write down here, but I'm gonna write the most important ones and then the tables that I think are important from the book. So starting with if you have one gene influencing the trait. So for one gene influencing the trait, and then you have homozygote with another homozygote, knowing that one of them is dominant, the other one is recessive. The genotypic ratio and phenotypic ratio is the same in this case. Let me rewrite this. Genotypic ratio equals phenotypic ratio. In this case, it's actually equal to 1. They all exhibit the dominant trait. So if this is dominant, this is recessive. They all look dominant, and they're all heterozygous. Dominant recessive. If you had the heterozygote trait, het times het, your genotypic ratio and phenotypic ratio will be different. Your phenotypic ratio would be 3 to 1. Your genotypic ratio will be 1 to 2 to 1. Okay, and then the 3, the 1 and 2 are actually what gave this 3 for phenotypic ratio, and it's gonna look mainly like the dominant, have the dominant trait characteristic, and for the 1 you'll have it will look like the recessive one, and this is what this one is for. This means it's het, and this one is homozygote for the dominant trait. Anyways, if you draw the Punnett square, you'll know. But then, as you practice without drawing the Punnett square, you'll just be able to tell that one is homozygote dominant, the 2 is for heterozygote, and the other one is for the homozygote recessive, and phenotypically is 3 to 1. And then what if you have het times homozygous? Okay, you can have 2 cases. You can have it the homozygote being recessive, or it could be dominant. If it is recessive, it will be the probability, the ratio would be 1 to 1. That's both genotypic and phenotypic ratios, and it's gonna have either the recessive trait or the dominant trait, and if it has the dominant trait, dominant one is actually heterozygote. It like carries the recessive trait for it. And then if it was the homozygote was dominant and it's multiplied by the het, then your genotype is equal to your phenotype again, and which is equal to 1. All of them will exhibit the dominant trait, and they're also going to be carriers for it. So I apologize for that. Actually, your phenotypic ratio will be equal to 1. Your genotypic ratio will be equal to 1 to 1, where 1/2 will be homozygote for the dominant trait, the other one will be heterozygote for the dominant trait. So they all carry the recessive trait within them. So I correct that. But when you have test cross is usually carried between heterozygote and a homozygote recessive. Okay, now let's do the other case. Just the other very important ratio that you usually deal with is when you have 2 genes, And the one we care about the most is when it's het with het. The phenotypic ratio would be 9 to 3 to 3 to 1. As I said, this is phenotypic ratio. And then these two cases, this one and this one, is when you have simple Mendelian genetics, and like you have clear cut of dominant and recessive behaviors. But then you have extensions of Mendelian genetics, as this table will show you. This is one of the important tables. It's in chapter 3, and it gives you on this side the ratios, phenotypic ratios resulting from those Mendelian extensions. And in this case, when you have incomplete dominance or codominance, your phenotypic ratio is actually the same as your genotypic ratio, and it's 1 to 2 to 1. And then also tells you about multiple alleles, recessive lethality. So just look at this table. And then another important table, I would say, is the one that talks about epistasis, and it's 3.2. By the way, all this is from the 4th edition. So I think this is also one of the very important tables, and it tells you the different types of epistasis you have, whether it's recessive or dominant. It also has complementarity, so this one. So yes, this is one of the important tables. And then for me, from chapter 4, this is one of the important images. This shows X-linked traits, and then instead of drawing the pedigree or writing out the ratios and being confused, as soon as you see they give you a trait or probability or a cross where the mother has the wild type and the father is the one that has the carries the disease, and that disease is recessive. Yeah, this is for X-linked and it's recessive. Then these are the results you're gonna expect. Very easy, very short. Have it in your cheat sheet, and it's gonna help you with the exam. So in my opinion, these are the important ratios for you to know. Practice them, and then that's how you're gonna be able to solve most of the questions if you know these ratios by heart. That's it. Thank you.